right? So on the stage we have Priyanka Patel of the Red Cross. She is the program officer for innovation. And we also have Mwajumbe NASSORO, and she's with the Brain Youth Group, who their work is actually in mangrove conservation, but she will be talking more about their circular economy. So I will let them self-introduce.
Good evening, everyone. Good to be here. I'm Priyanka. I work with the Kenya Red Cross Society as an innovation and partnership officer. Currently based in Mombasa, but we operate in 47 counties of the country. Our role as innovation within this space is around humanitarian solutions. So I'm here just to talk a little bit about, around what we're doing with the communities at the local level when it comes to just trying to help them understand the whole concept of blue economy, but also more specific to waste management. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mwajumbe NASSORO. I'm the coordinator, Brain Youth Group. I also work with quality recyclers, and we deal with the recycling of all kinds of solid waste. I think more will be through our interactions, so thank you.
Okay, great. So we're going to start with Priyanka's presentation, and we will see exactly how they work within the community and how we can all engage in being part of the solution.
I won't give you a very detailed overview of what Kenya Red Cross does, but I'm taking assumption that everyone knows that we have ambulances and we do emergency response. But apart from that, we also do a lot of conflict resolution, economic empowerment, crisis management, and also first aid training and trainings around the space of medical emergencies. Our footprint is in 44 offices across the 47 counties, as I mentioned earlier. We've got 8 regional offices, and also we've got more than 200,000 volunteers across the country, plus other memberships programs that we have as well. We've got a team of 500 staff. On the innovation team where I sit, we're a team of eight members, out of which 4 are based in Lamu. So I was happy to see the short film we just saw earlier, because a lot of our work at the moment around waste management is actually focused in Lamu. And then now just getting into why we exist, it's basically around creating more impact by developing social and tech solutions, just so that we have effective approaches. And also we're trying to now make sure that we're empowering communities just to make sure that they create ownership for the solutions that they implement. And out of all this need came our innovation lab that we have located in Lamu. It's a fabrication lab, and this lab basically helps communities to fabricate their solutions and make them into real-time prototypes. This is in partnership with the Qatar Red Crescent, which happens to be a national society based in Qatar. This lab has been built as, we're talking about how to use waste resources. We have built this in container setting. 18 fabricated containers are placed there. So I think that's on my side, and thank you very much. I know I took more than 5 minutes, but thank you.
Yeah, just a little bit. Okay, great. Now let's hear from Ms. Mwajumbe. Thank you.
I was supposed to talk about reimagining waste management for circular economy, and I think that's what I'll do. Okay, generally, since we cannot do end-of-the-pipe treatment for most products, we have to deal with whatever we have now. That is the outcome. We have plastic waste, we have glass, we have everything that we use, and since we're the primary consumers, it stays with us. We ask the community, like, okay, in Brain Youth Group, we have a very different structure from most community-based organizations, and we try to bring on board as many members of the community as possible. And most of the things we do is for the community's benefit, since most of us don't really come around from gender. Okay, how long does waste last? If you were to think of that, how long does waste last? If you were to use a plastic bottle, and probably after that, they would still use it again, and you wonder, if they've cut it 3-4 times, what will happen to the plastic afterwards? Where will it go? So that was the first time ever I ever thought of the circular economy. Okay. Uh, After educating the community and they know who is responsible for waste and the sustainable and unsustainable waste management systems, we educate them on the importance of sorting and segregating waste. Sorting and segregating waste has its advantages since it gives value to the waste. It also helps in saving material. Say, if we were to get a new potting material, that will mean extracting resources from the environment and making a new potting material, as opposed to just, if we had plastic sorted, we'll just get some from where it is and we won't have to go all the way back to the environment to extract resources. Sorting also helps in protecting the ozone. We get more quality resin from recycled plastic of late if it's well sorted. We have the HDEP on one side and the other, okay, let's say the PET on the other side. It makes recycling easier and the quality of the products after recycling is way better. Lastly, we have the idea of reusing, repurposing, and recycling. So that's my idea of the circular economy, like closing the loop. We get raw materials from the environment, and man, the primary consumer, uses whatever it is that is made, that is plastic, glass, or metal. After consumption, we have the waste now, which we take to the green station. The green station is where now we sort the waste. We have the plastic, the glass, metal, and paper. Food waste on a different area, since when you combine food waste with other waste, it takes longer to decompose and it emits greenhouse gases, and that's not good for us. From the green station, we we hope it will be collected and it will be taken to the collection centers where all kinds of waste from different parts of the community will gather, and thereafter they'll be taken to the depot. The depot will clean, sort, and thereafter it will be taken to the recycling center where new products are made, and they'll be back to the market and back to us again. That'll mean that there'll be less pollution and we'll have more jobs. It's from us and back to us, and it's more advantageous that way. What we need to make this possible, we need the extended producer responsibility. If everybody who made something that lasts in the environment will be responsible for it, then we are likely to have less of it in the environment. I just took water and I really felt that pain. I did not carry my water bottle. I'll have to go find a way to dispose that. If the Dasani company had like a, they were supposed to pick that after it's used, maybe it will reduce the number of PET bottles in the environment. We need better environmental policies. The current ones are lax. We still see polythene bags in the environment. And then from where I come from, the youth, women and children are not involved as much. So if they were given a chance to really participate and have a chance to really see what it is to be environmental conservationists, they would do more than they currently are. And the last one, I think we should uphold traditional methods of environmental conservation. I know you will want to bite me, but they worked before. I think they'll still do in future.
Yeah, but that is, I think, the lingering question with all of this is, yes, it did succeed before. What were we doing traditionally? That's why I come in with the Swahili culture. I think our ancestors had a lot of the solutions. And I think maybe sometimes looking back and moving forward with that is really the way forward. I want to thank you, ladies. I'm going to call the next presenters on the stage as we continue to have this conversation. Okay. I want to call Gladys and Dr. WANYONYI, please. Thank you. Welcome, Dr. WANYONYI and Gladys from the JKP. She's here standing in for our CEO of the Jumuiya County Zapani, Mr. Emmanuel, who couldn't make it today. And ladies first, of course. And so she's our lead development and implementation officer for for JKP, and really leading within the financial sector and investments. Welcome, Gladys.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to meet you all. My name is Gladys Mjama. I'm from the Jumuiya County Pwani Secretariat, which is a regional development agency that represents the 6 coastal counties. And in that docket, I am the lead advisor in financial services and investment. And so I'm here to really explain some of the activities that are taking place in JKP, particularly in the Go Blue project. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Innocent Wanyonyi. I work in Mombasa with the Coastal and Marine Resources Development. We call it COMRED in short. It's a homegrown organization, small, with about 22 staff, expertise in coastal and marine resources issues. I'll not be talking about our organization today, but I'll just be speaking on general issues on plastic and waste and people and oceans in the Mombasa County. Thank you.
So, okay, Gladys.
Thank you very much. And so, like I had mentioned, we're from the Jumuiya County Pwani Secretariat, and Jumuiya County Pwani is really a regional development agency that is all about regional development in the 6 counties, which, as we've named there, are Mombasa, Kilifi, Tana River, Lamu, and these all counties together. We felt we began in 2015 with the 6 governors, and so we have it's called a triple helix model, in which we bring in the private sector, we bring the academia, and we also bring in the political arm. And so we felt that all three bodies coming together will help assist regional development. Next slide. And so really what we do is that we promote investment. What our agency does predominantly is coordination. And so our role is to coordinate all these 6 counties, because we felt them working in silos will not help. And we felt that we coming together as a coastal people can bring together regional development. And so we support in terms of policy, in terms of the different investments that are taking place in the region, and really just promoting them. And so one of the key areas, we are very big in promoting development, especially with women and youth, because we've seen that a lot of young people, a lot of the youth in the coastal region, there is such high levels of unemployment. And so some of the solutions that we want to bring, particularly in the blue economy, is really to transform and bring employment to our young people and to women especially. Next slide. And so we have what we call our Jumuiya 10, which has all those aspects. But one of the key pillars that we are focusing on at the moment is our 3rd pillar, which is the blue economy, and also the 1st pillar in agri-business, food, nutrition, and security. Next slide. So where it all began, so we did a Jumuiya 2030 blueprint, in which we targeted all the key areas that are mandated for the Jumuiya County Pwani, and that is how our Go Blue project came out in this blueprint. And so the Go Blue project was really extracted from the Jumuiya 2030, and it focuses on the abundant opportunities available in this sector to drive economic development. And so we have 5 implementing partners. So EU came on board, and we did a launch in March. And so we have 5 implementing partners currently. We have Italy, that deals with fisheries. So they picked the fisheries value chain. We have Portugal, which handles culture and heritage. We have Germany, which really focuses on vocational training and aquaculture. And we have UN Habitat and UNEP, which focuses on sea land use and And really, that is our focus today, because UN Habitat have come on board particularly for the conservation and sustainable use of coastal and urban marine environment development. And so we felt that even though we will have all these 4 different agencies targeting fisheries, culture, and heritage, if we do not bring an element that focuses on the environment, then we'll completely miss what we intend to do. And so you can stop there. I'll just go back to the previous slide. Yeah, the right, next one. Right there. Yeah. And so when it comes to UN Habitat, the 2 key elements that they are really focusing on. One is on waste management. And so their desire is really to build a solid waste recycling plant, which will be in Taita Taveta. And in Lamu, we want to do a blue carbon project. Currently, there's been a lot that UN Habitat and UNEP has been doing in Kwale, but they want to add on that and go into Lamu. And in Lamu, they have designated about 1,000 hectares of mangroves to really just promote a positive impact project and ecosystem protection in that. And so that is really what we're planning to do. We are still in the inception phase. And so in the next coming months, we will be able to begin rolling out the implementation of our plan. So it's a 4-year project, but really the arm of UN Habitat is to just promote that environmental care and promotion. And so we hope that through even some of these initiatives, we can all come together and promote the blue economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Gladys. Dr. Wanyonyi, thank you.
Yeah, we are producing quite a lot of plastic, so I'm going to give you an introduction on what plastic is about, and talk about the situation in Mombasa very quickly, and also look at some of the effects of plastic that we know of globally, and also look at some of the interventions we have in the country, and finally discuss a few of the challenges and a call for action. So if we start with the introduction, I was just saying plastics are an inevitable part of our lifestyle. And unfortunately, we end up having almost 13 million tons of plastic annually in the oceans. And these are going into our ecosystems. We also know that they have negative impacts both on land, in water, and on the human beings themselves. We are going to look at that also. And finally, we also know that besides the plastic that we know, the bottles that we see, plastic does not break down completely when it goes into the ecosystems. So it just goes into smaller and smaller pieces, and they call that microplastics because you have to look at it in the microscope. And so it's still part of the system, and it ends up finally in the food chains and in every part of our life. It's very difficult to control that entry because we do not know how to detect it easily. And finally, also, plastic production has increased a lot in the recent years. In Kenya alone, we know that we have about 500,000 tons of plastic produced every year. And out of that, almost 30% is absolutely being produced for the purpose of packaging. Yes. Then if you go to our own situation in Mombasa, Mombasa is a very quickly growing city, and like any other urban center, there are so many incentives to grow. We are a port city in the first place, and we are rapidly increasing our population. And as we do this, we are actually increasing our production of waste. We all have seen Kibarani before, and now we have a new dam site in Mwakirunge. This is just an illustration of the kind of drivers that we have that are getting into our ecosystem. Now, if you notice that in Mombasa generally, the plastic cycle is what we call linear. My presenter earlier on alluded to that very clearly. And by linear, we mean that it's ending up either in the environment or the dump site. It's not going back to be reused or to be recycled for other purposes. Now, that is not a very good thing. We would like a future whereby whenever we have plastic, it either gets reused or continue being sustained without producing new plastic. We have figures of 900,000 tons of plastic among the population of Mombasa, which is 1.2 million people. Now, that is per day. And Mwakirunge and the dump site in Likoni can only take 42%, 46% of that amount of plastic. So you can imagine where the rest is going. It's somewhere here in the environment, on the roads, in the rivers, on our soil, and everywhere. And unfortunately, most of it is ending up in the oceans. And it's not only from the city of Mombasa. We are receiving waste also from the inlands, and it's also ending up in our oceans. Then some of the effects of plastics, we try to look at it in 4 aspects. We have health effects. You know, unless you talk about somebody's health, they'll not understand the significance of plastic. But if someone told you that a recent study of 2021 found that there was microplastic in a human placenta, then you'll start thinking, this is a problem. But we know that every time we go to the ocean, we found mangroves are covered in plastic, corals are covered in plastic, and they are being suffocated. But in terms of human health, we also have effects which we do not know because it takes a long time with plastic. And one thing also that we came up with from the dialogue is that we have so many media access that we are not using. For example, I'm sure there's nobody here who doesn't have one social media account. If you just took a bottle of something, of plastic, wherever you are, and showed what it is doing to maybe a trapped turtle or whatever, then that picture is able to send a message to different people. If you're able to use the radio reaches almost everyone in the coast. Package the information very well, and we're able to create awareness. So the problem of culture change can be addressed by making good use of available media. So I just wanted to make those points. I think I've taken more time, but thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wanyonyi. So the question keeps coming on this collection, and even you mentioned about the disposal. There is not one garbage bin in Mombasa town. So if I'm using plastic, as you said, plastic is inevitable, right? So am I carrying it in my purse all day? Am I, where are we disposing this? So I think a lot of the times is like, so there's all these call to actions and people need to be responsible. But there's a role I'm getting at this, like throughout the threading of everybody's presentation so far. There's a role that our taxes play. So the very least of that is to provide the disposable units for where this waste is supposed to go. And I think that will change everything. In all these other, like we say, okay, our beaches are dirty. Well, our beaches have no garbage bins, So, and these all, when we look at the examples of all the other countries in the world that have clean beaches and clean streets, they all have one thing in common. They all have garbage bins at every corner of every single block. Maybe we start there. I'd like to call onto stage our last presenters. Thank you for gracing us with your presence this evening. So I'm going to start with Pracksidis from KEPSA, and then we will have Diana and Mr. Andrew Soy from the Coast Region and from the Kenya Forest Services.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Pracksidis WANDERA from the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, a project known as Sustainable Inclusive Business. And I'm very glad to be here just to share with this amazing team matters waste management. So really privileged to be here. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Andrew Soy from Kenya Forest Service. I'm glad to be here to learn more about marine environment.
Good evening. I'm Diana KISHIKI, Mangrove Officer, Kenya Forest Service. Thank you.
So we believe with the blue economy, we will be able to focus to have a sustainable biodiversity. Biodiversity, and biodiversity includes when we look at our environment, it's about the trees, it's about the water, it's about the land. So that all of that we can be able to achieve when we have a blue economy, because our forests will need water to be able to grow. So that will be able to support sustainable biodiversity. So what we do is we share knowledge and create awareness around issues of sustainability, because what we want is to have positive impact on people, planet, as much as we make a profit. The focus for so many years has been that if I run a business, I need to make profits, but that is changing today. We have different thematic areas that we focus on, and the first one is circular economy. We have climate change, we have people, power, and then we have redefining business value. So as we do our activities, or as we implement our activities, we are guided by those four thematic areas. KEPSA has sector boards that mirror the government ministries. So on each sector board, of maybe if you have an interest in issues of environment, you can be able to join the sector board of environment, and you can be able to push the policies that you require that impact your business, that will be able to impact your business positively. So KEPSA is about creating an enabling environment for all the private sector businesses. So much has been said about waste. And one thing maybe I would like to mention is that if I consider something to be waste, that is when it turns into waste. But let me say, for example, if I take a bottle of water today, the single use, and I decide that this bottle is not going to be waste, it's not going to be waste. Because first of all, I'll know that there's somebody who can be able to reuse that bottle for something else. And I'll convert it into a product or a raw material that can be used. So this notion of us considering what we have been able to use and get value out of as waste needs to change. For us to be able to minimize that impact, we need to adopt a new way of doing things. So waste can be able to clog our environment. It can cause health issues. Like we are being told today that research has been done, and cancer is being linked to plastic waste that we are able to maybe ingest in different ways. Maybe when we eat fish, and fish has been able to consume plastic in our oceans or in our rivers, then we can be able to consume that plastics through the fish that we eat. We need to have a clean environment. We need to have good health. And so as we do all this, we also need to achieve recycling. And that can only happen if we start having sustainable waste management systems. So we are going the circular way. And circularity means that we are going to close the loops. We are going to take plastics, the raw material, we make plastics, we use them, we ensure that we continue reusing them. If it's another product, we make sure that we can be able to repair that product for reuse, and we ensure that whatever remains after reusing and reusing is going to be incinerated in a very better way that is not going to pollute our environment. So for us to achieve circular economy, we need to know that circular economy has 3 principles. And the first principle is about eliminating waste and pollution. The second principle is about ensuring that the products we put in the market can be reused for as long as possible, so that we can be able to extract as much value out of them as possible. And also, we need to rethink. It's time for us to sit down and think how our processes can be able to change the way we do things. So thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay, as I said, I'm Andrew Soy from Kenya Forest Service. I cover Coast region, the 6 counties in the Coast region, but we have got only 4 counties with the mangroves. Let me briefly talk about mangroves. Mangroves is a casseted forest. It was casseted, it is casseted number 44 of 30th, 1932, when the government declared mangrove as a forest reserve. Currently, mangroves is under Kenya Forest Service, and it is a casseted forest. Our boundaries is between the high tide. That's our boundary. In Kenya, we have got 61,000 hectares of mangroves, of which 60% is in Lamu. The rest are in Kilifi, Pwani, Mombasa, and Tana River. I'm particular with marine because we are dealing with blue economy. So when we talk of blue economy, it is originated from a green economy concept. Green economy concept strategies tend to focus on the sectors of energy, transport, sometimes agriculture and forestry. While the blue economic focuses on fisheries sector and marine and coastal resources in which mangroves ecosystem is part of it. Mangroves are salt-tolerant trees and are also called allopites, are adapted to live in harsh coastal conditions. In fact, mangroves, they do well in a clean, in 50% fresh water and 50% salt water. The mangroves, they have got root system which they feel that the salt water from entering to the system. And when the salt water enter to the system, from the root system to the leaves, they are excreted to a special gland in the leaves. And the remaining one are deposited in the old leaves and the parts, which they later drop. So, that's what I'm saying. They contain complex salt filtration system and complex root system to cope with the salt immersion and wave action. They are adapted to low oxygen condition or waterlogged mud. Now, what we are saying here, we are saying the relationship between the mangroves and the terrestrial forest. In fact, it is very important to have terrestrial forests like Arabuko Sokoke, Simba Hills, and the coastal belt, because mangroves are surviving because of the terrestrial forest due to the underground movement of water, which assists in the survival of the mangroves. Also, terrestrial forest, the rivers emanate from the terrestrial forest, which they supply water to the mangroves. And these rivers sometimes are polluted with the plastic and other waste products, which they can be deposited in the ocean. So that's what we are saying. We are saying it is good, as well as we are conserving the mangrove for blue economics, we can also conserve the forest. Asanteni sana. Tusaidiane tuchunge our environment.
Yes, thank you so much for attending Café-Science this time, and we look forward to many, many more conversations. And the conversation does not end here. Thank you.